Bitcoin economically arms everybody.
Bitcoin is a means to fight tyranny, to fight corruption.
A central bank can be a place of great mischief.
My perspective is that Bitcoin does fix everything.
Thank you so much for taking the time today. I watched God Bless Bitcoin, and it is fascinating. I live in coastal San Diego and have 2 kids in private school. I need Bitcoin.
Oh, the movie for you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. My husband and I were watching it, like taking notes, It
means so much to us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah. Well, Brian, maybe I like how the documentary broke down, like, what is Bitcoin, how it's used. It compared and contrasted it to current currencies, but like, what promoted you to do the film and then also make it free for everyone to see?
Yeah, so I read a book 4 years ago called Thank God for Bitcoin, which was about the Christian view of Bitcoin. And it just made me curious. I was like, well, if this is the Christian view, what do the other religions say? So I dove in and I did my research, and then, that's where it ended. But then I had this internal voice in me, like, saying, you need to tell the story, take everything you learned, tell the story. I'm not a storyteller. I've never written a book, made a movie. I don't even like writing, let alone reading. And so, but the voice just kept getting louder and louder and louder. And finally, 2 years ago, I went to Kelly, who has her master's degree in education. And I said, hey, can you help me tell this story so I can shut this voice up? And so she agreed. And so, we decided to make a movie. And it was just 2 weeks ago, we decided to make it for free, or give it away for free. So, and the reason is because the more we thought about it, the people that need to understand the information that's in the movie are the people who don't have an extra $10 of disposable income. And so it just didn't seem right to charge people who, for the people that really need to see it. So our goal is 1 billion people to watch the movie around the world. So if we take the friction out of the cost, then more people are going to watch it. And that's our original goal, is more people to watch it. So we're dubbing it in 7 different languages that encompass 85% of the spoken language in the world. So, our goal is just that here it is. You could watch it for free. You could download the movie off our website. So if you want to host a viewing or do a screening, it's free. It's open source. It's a gift.
I love that. And Kelly, I love how, like, you're a husband-wife team and you're able to combine your strengths, with finance and serving the underprivileged. Talk to me about, like, how you were able to assemble this, like, global team of contributors.
He's a super connector. Brian always has. He can call on people from 30 years ago and they're always there for each other. So that is how we assembled that part. And then from the religious and moral side, that was for me to research. So I had to dig in and try to find people who would be knowledgeable about the scriptures. So we have, for Christianity, we have a priest and a minister. We have 2 rabbis. We have a Buddhist and a Hindu expert. And then we have, for the Islamic faith, we have a Muslim who speaks on that for us. So I had to just kind of dig in to find them. And that's how we put it all together. The best part about all of them is that they were willing and more than happy to donate their time and their expertise to helping us create this film. So really it is a labor of love from over, 100 people probably, when you count all, all the people who didn't quite make the movie, but their information was so great. But it was a labor of love from a lot of people. Group effort for sure.
Well, like I said, it was very thorough in explanations and so forth. But of course, anything so complex, there's still several questions, right? So I feel like I understand Bitcoin as an investment tool, but I'm not sure that I fully understand it as a currency unless it's adopted by the broader market. So, like, how would I use Bitcoin today?
Yeah, so in the US, we have a good financial system. So you have Venmo or PayPal, or Visa, MasterCard, doing financial transactions is not a problem here in the US. And not to get too complicated, but back in 2014, the IRS said that Bitcoin is property. So whenever you spend your Bitcoin, what that means is you actually sold it. So what you have to do is you have to file what's called a Schedule D with the IRS and tell the IRS, this is what I paid for the Bitcoin. When I bought something, this is what I sold it for. And you have to pay a tax on the difference. So in the United States, people don't use it as currency because it's too cumbersome. No one's going to go do all that work for a $3 Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
And so, but outside the US, in Germany, Singapore, Portugal, Switzerland, Hong Kong, Bitcoin's tax-free. So people in other countries use it as currency. It's just that we don't use it as currency here in the US. So the use case in the US, if we look at what the Federal Reserve says, so the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis put out a white paper in 2018 that said basically Bitcoin's best use case is as a diversification tool for investment portfolios, because they were looking at on the investment side. And so, so most people in the US put it in investment portfolios as an investment tool. But outside the US, people use it as currency. A great example is like there are 2 billion people in the world who don't have bank accounts. They're called the unbanked. And for example, there could be a woman in Africa who has a God-given talent of being able to make beautiful baskets, right? Be able to weave beautiful baskets. But she could only sell those baskets to people in her local community or maybe within like 10 miles, right? Where she could walk to them. But if she had her bank on her phone through like Bitcoin, and I wanted to buy her a basket, I could send her Bitcoin to her phone, and then she could ship me her basket. So all of a sudden, she's a part of the commerce system. She's able to use her talents, build something, and sell it to anybody in the world, and she'll get a higher price for it. Because I'll pay more than a local person in her local community would pay for that basket. And so all of a sudden, now she has a way to support her family and create value for herself and create value for others.
Help me better understand the process. So Bitcoin's capped at 21 million. That seems low to me because depending on where you pull your numbers from, if there's like 50 to 100 million users now, but there's just under 8 billion people in the world, like how does that all work?
Yeah, so there's about 400 million people in the world that use Bitcoin today, and it's on the path. The adoption of Bitcoin is growing faster than the adoption of the internet did in the 90s. So in about 6 years, we're going to go from 400 million to 4 billion people using it. So we're on this, what's called a mega trend. It's mass adoption. And so to answer your question specifically, the 21 million Bitcoin, each Bitcoin is divisible up to 8 decimal points. So what that means, there's 100 million Satoshis per one Bitcoin. And so, and if you have 3 Satoshis, you have about a penny worth of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is divisible out to 100 million. And so there's plenty of Satoshis out there for everybody to have some.
So is there an advantage then to buying Bitcoin now versus later?
Yeah, so this isn't financial advice, but Bitcoin has been the best performing asset class out of all asset classes 12 out of the past 15 years it's been around. It's outperformed large cap growth stocks, small caps, bonds, cash, but it is very, very volatile. And the reason it's volatile is because only about 1% of the world understands what this technology is. And some people think it's worthless, and other people like me think it's priceless. And so the world's trying to decide, is it worthless or is it priceless? And that's why the price goes up and down so much. A great way to, or a great place to find more information. Michael Saylor, 30 years ago, bought a website called hope.com, HOPE.com. If you go to that website, it's dedicated to Bitcoin education. the Bitcoin University there, lots of videos, lots of educational material. So if you want to learn more about this, that's a great resource.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I could go on and on. I so appreciate that you've taken the time to put this resource together for us and making it, accessible to everybody so that you can get in the game, so to speak, with Bitcoin. And I encourage everybody to watch it because it's there. Make your own informed opinion. And, maybe we will be having Bitcoin in the future that we're grabbing a Starbucks and having a conversation over.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly, for
Yeah.
having us.
Yeah. Thank you for watching the movie too.
And yeah.
Yeah.